busy. I don't ever smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some dizzies. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys. Miss Liz in the house. That's right. I am back for a second show today. We did a double dipper this afternoon. We had Jane Rubin in the house and we talked about history, women's medical history and heroes and all that good stuff. Tonight we're going to be talking about buried alive. It's not as creepy as you think it is. We're not burying anybody alive. And we've been having some fun in the back, me and Eric Fisher back in the stage. That's why we're running just a couple seconds behind schedule tonight. But I really just want to thank everybody for tuning in and supporting Miss Liz, because I could not do this without you guys. So before we get started, you guys all know how this rolls. We go over to Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, and we like, follow, subscribe, and we get these tea times out there, and we do make a difference with each and every one of these tea times. So let's get started with the disclaimer and then a nice, beautiful intro. And we're going to get Eric Fisher in here. We're going to talk about his book, Buried Alive. I'm going to also bring it up so you guys will get to see what we're talking about. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicated to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I'm Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by the guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect those wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. I want to welcome everybody back to Tea Time, where truth meets healing and stories make room for transformation. Tonight, we welcome someone who walks straight into the hard places and helps others find their way back out. Joining us is Eric Fisher, Canadian Certified Counsellor, trauma specialist, author, and award-winning screenwriter with over 15 years in mental health care. Eric blends science, soul, and strategy into recovery work that is both grounding and empowering. He is a master's practitioner in oscillator resolution therapy and trained in the EMDR, guiding individuals and families through trauma and compassion and clarity. Eric is also the author of the Martial Arts of Recovery and Buried Alive, 4 Ways to Free Yourself from the Dirt, where he teaches people not to just survive adversity, but rise from it with strength and self-awareness. Tonight, we are digging into truth, resilience, and what it truly means to heal when life has tried to bury you. So grab your cup and lean in. Healing begins when courage meets honesty. And let me get Eric in here and let's spill some tea together. Welcome, Eric.
Thanks for having me, Liz.
It is a pleasure. We were having so much fun that I was just like, oh, I got to go live.
It's time to get a move on. Yeah, we were having so much fun in the back.
We were trying to figure out if we were seeing ourselves too much. We were going down some rabbit holes.
Yes. It was fun. It was fun.
Well, Eric, thank you for joining me on Tea Time tonight. I'm going to get started with you as a little guy. Who was Eric as a little guy, and who's Eric now?
As a little guy. Well, I was born in Arkansas, Tennessee, so Arkansas, USA, and I'm up here in Canada now, so it's been a bit of a journey to get up here. I was in Arkansas up until around 5 years old, and then moved to Tennessee. And so Eric, as a young boy, knew transition for sure, like getting uprooted from where we were living in Arkansas and moving to a place I knew nothing about. My dad's a primary care physician, a medical doctor, and so his work took us to Tennessee. And so as a young child, I knew what it meant to move young, what it meant to make new friends, what it meant to go into a new living environment, go to a new church. So that's a little bit about me. And I really enjoy creativity. I was even like that as a young kid when it came to my imagination, when it came to stories and writing stories, and that's carried on into adulthood.
I knew there was an accent in there. I was just like, where did he come from?
Down yonder.
I thought you were going to say from my mother.
Tempting.
We had so much fun that I didn't even mention your tea. Tonight's tea is curious, adventurous, and mindful. Those are the words that Eric gave me for his tea. So we'll be getting into those words as well as the book. Eric, I'm going to pull up your book because when I got sent the book, I was just like, ooh, this is going to be a heavy book. So let me pull that book up and talk about the cover and how it came about and all that good stuff. So let me grab that book for everybody out there that's tuning in. This is a little slow tonight. Like, give me a break, guys. There we go. We got Buried Alive. So tell us a little bit about this book, Eric.
Well, it all started by me looking at the possibility of transcribing this interview that I did way back in 2005 with my dad and two of his friends. So what happened was, and this is the premise of the book with the true story portion that's included in documentary form, was my dad was accidentally buried alive. They were hunting for Native American artifacts, arrowheads, at an overhang, so like a cliff face that's jutting out from like a large hill, right? And so what would happen is Native Americans, they wouldn't ever clean out a place. They would just bring in more dirt. So my dad and his two friends were digging for arrowheads, and then there was a cave-in, an avalanche, small avalanche. My dad was buried alive, and for a matter of minutes, he was underneath the dirt. And one of the only things he was thinking about, he told me later on, was, I didn't think I would go out this way. And sure enough, if it wasn't for his second friend that decided to come with the other two that very day, didn't decide until that day to want to come, he wouldn't have survived. So the book has part true story with my documentary, like transcribed pretty much word for word. There are some alterations, but it's quite true to what was said. And then there's 4 different chapters on some self-help concepts, intertwined, interwoven, applicable to what happened on that fateful day back in February of 2000. So it's a really quick rundown of what the book is about as part documentary interview in different parts and different chapters to keep everyone in suspense. And then each chapter has its own chapter on a certain self-help, a certain concept to help someone unearth themselves, excavate themselves from what they find they're buried alive with when it comes to shame, guilt, peer pressure, anxiety, trauma, addiction, all those different things that can keep somebody down.
So, Eric, where did the trees come in?
I'm sorry.
Where did the trees come in? Is that I'm
Oh,
looking at
oh.
trees, right?
So the trees, that's part of the book cover done by my book designer in Italy, and I gave her a little bit of the story, and this actually happened like when he was buried alive accidentally. It happened in a forest, in the woods, and so that's the reason that there's trees there, and the reason the text is the way it is like it's submerging into the woods. Yeah,
I was just like, I'm looking at the right book, am I not?
you got it. You got it.
We got all these images on us that we're just like, what are we looking at here?
What's going on?
So, Eric, we had some questions that came in for you, and I want to get those out to you tonight. And the first one that came in is, what does the title Buried Alive mean to you emotionally or symbolically? Symbolically? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, symbolically. Yeah, sure. Emotionally, it means to me when someone's in a deep, dark place where they feel like resilience is out of reach, where they might feel like there's no one that can lend a helping hand, where they feel like they're alone in the world. And it can be symbolically feeling like I am suffocating. I don't have the air to breathe. I don't know how to get that air in whatever form or fashion that could be. And tying in the emotion, the symbolic, I even look at it from a spiritual context where perhaps I feel like I'm far away from God, I'm far away from the Creator, the God of my own understanding, however way you want to look at that, and just feeling like I'm far away from any type of help for myself, feeling isolated, alone, submerged with all these feelings that are really uncomfortable, and I don't really know I don't have the tools to deal with those feelings. So that's a little bit about that. Yeah.
So, Eric, what part of your story, your journey into trauma, what first inspired your journey into trauma and therapy, recovery, counseling? Like, what got you into it? Was it this story?
This story came along right before I started doing even my schooling back in 2005, when I did the interview, I wasn't even yet I was doing my psychology degree, like bachelor's. And in 2000, when it actually happened, I was 15 back in 2000. Yeah, 15 going on 16. So what got me into it, there is mental health concerns that run on particular veins of the family. And that always was something intriguing to me, not in like a obsessive way or like I'm glad that they have issues, just like, well, it's just really curious to me. But I've always been curious about the human mind and behavior and wanting to learn more about myself as well.
That's the first time I've heard anybody say that, veins of the family for mental health. I kind of like the way you express that because it runs genetically, correct? Some mental illnesses.
Whether that's bipolar disorder, depression, even addiction. Yeah, a lot of things have a genetic component. Mm-hmm.
So what part of Buried Alive can you apply to your own self-awareness or healing journey, Eric?
One of the chapters is on balance, and it's something that if I don't do, especially in my professional life, I'm going to hit the ties. I'm going to hit the rut. I'm going to hit the ditch, really, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So one of the chapters is all about finding the balance between like having a structure and spontaneity, or planning and spontaneity, or wanting to invest in looking at spirituality versus like restricting myself altogether. So like binging or restricting. So I was looking at all these binging and restricting pieces, and I try to apply that to my own life when it comes to having a balance where I don't want to be like super rigid all the time, nor do I want to be spontaneous all the time. Or I'm just losing my train when it comes to the different balances that are in the book. Yet it's just finding the balance between being and doing, where I can do some tasks, I can do some activities to help myself, yet I can also pull back and just simply be be at rest, take it easy, not do too much. And that's one thing I definitely apply as much as I can on the daily for myself.
Well, Eric, you said there's 4 chapters of self-help. So one is balance. What are the other 3?
So one of them is different ways of maintaining balance. There is one that's on the connectum when it comes to social connection and the importance of that. There's also this chapter on what's called the mysterious W word, which I may or may not get into today. I mean, I don't bring it up on like the book cover or in the description.
So
like
it's
on
this little
Amazon.
secret gem that's in the book. So you got to get the book to understand it.
Yes, it's I definitely expound on it. I just don't have one page. It's like, oh, this is the word, and enjoy trying to figure it out.
Well, we have to keep some gems so people buy the book, right?
Right.
We tell you the whole book. There's no point in buying a book. Like,
right. And the other one is what's called the CIA concept. So that's being able to look at curiosity, introspection, and agency, and the importance of those when it comes to mental wellness.
the CIA. And I like these little acronyms and things to make you look deeper. I do want to get into the EMDR because I've done that treatment. Do you want to share a little bit for the viewers that may not know what EMDR is?
Sure. Yeah. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing is a therapy that uses bilateral stimulation, eye movements, in other words, in order to help facilitate healing. When it comes to trauma, when it comes to depression, anxiety, a person takes a negative core belief. Let's just say someone's working on a traumatic event with EMDR. They will target that traumatic event and they will attribute that traumatic event to a negative core belief such as I am worthless or something like that connected to that event. And then with the therapy, there's 8 different phases to EMDR. We go through these different phases where a person starts to get desensitized to the memory, and then they start to install a positive cognition such as I am worthy of receiving love, something that's self-referencing with an I, that's generalizable, that's positive, that they actually realistically believe. And that's a very quick rundown. That's an elevator pitch for what EMDR is. There's so many different things that could be discussed, yet it is a very cognitive based, it's really entrenched in changing those core beliefs that are negative to positive.
I didn't know that there was 8 phases.
Yeah. Like the first phase is like history taking. Second phase is stabilization skills. Third phase, we call it the assessment, which it's not like you just do this one and done. Every time we work on a memory with EMDR, we go through these I think it's 7 or 8 questions for the assessment. They're always the same, regardless of what traumatic event someone's working on. Phase 4 is desensitizing them to that particular memory, which definitely takes time. Don't want to rush that. And then phase 5 is installing that positive cognition, such as I am worthy, I am safe. And phase, what are we on now? Phase 6 is a body scan. So at the end of each session, there's a body scan that's done just to bring someone down, to take out any residual tension, upsetness, tightness. And then phase 7 is more like a closure type of phase. How are you feeling? What did you gain? How are you doing? And then the last phase is kind of when we go back to at the end of next session. It's a looking at re-exploring where someone's at with what they worked on the previous. So it's kind of a re-examining phase.
So what's the difference between EMDR and hypnotism?
I get that a lot. And I always tell people when I'm talking about the therapy before they give informed consent to consider pursuing it. Definitely not hypnotism. So hypnotism by a trained clinical hypnotist, let's say, there's certain protocols that a hypnotist does that would be separate and apart from someone that does eye movement, desensitization, reprocessing. there is eye movements that are happening in EMDR, yet it's different than the suggestibility that comes along with hypnotism. A person is in full faculty, they're in full choice with what they're doing in EMDR, and we're getting it. I mean, I can't really say whether or not we're doing same or different brain areas between the two. I just know that the motivation behind the therapy is different than hypnotism when it comes to the work.
I've had both, and I prefer the EMDR over the
Oh,
hypnotist.
oh, okay. You might be able to tell me yourself some of the differences, perhaps.
Well,
Yeah.
I found like I was not in control with the hypnotist. Like
Mm,
when being hypnotized, they had the control where I didn't have it, if that makes sense.
yep,
And then
absolutely.
and then the EMDR, I had the control. Well, my brain was able to pull me through. Like,
Yes, that's what I would say is probably the main difference is that suggestibility factor, that there is more of an ability to be with all faculties, more choice, more autonomy. Absolutely.
well, Eric, I want to talk about your business because your business is called Recovery Arts Counseling.
Yes.
Why is it called Recovery Arts?
I have a martial arts background, so I thought I would piggyback on the arts piece and change the martial to recovery.
I like it. He switches it up. I like it. Because I did find about the martial arts. So what was it about martial arts that you enjoyed from it?
I really enjoyed how it pushed me because doing martial arts, and I talk about this in my first book that I wrote, I had a hard time finding the balance between being like full on aggressive with sparring, with gloves and helmet, all that, and being very passive. And so I really enjoyed how I was challenged, I was pushed to be able to find that balance when it comes to self-control, when it comes to that discipline, when it comes to learning form, again, balance, and just the camaraderie that comes with being in a martial arts dojo. I really enjoyed. I did it 2 different times, preteen and when I was like later as a teenager, 16 to 18, and 2 different experiences. What I didn't enjoy was going to the tournaments because I was just flat out anxiety provoked, having to do what's called katas, which is basically like a choreographed fighting, like a set of fighting moves in front of everybody from memory, or sparring in front of people. It was just really anxiety provoking, so I didn't really like that as much. Yet I really enjoyed the camaraderie, how it pushed me. I enjoyed sparring, and I enjoy learning the techniques. It's just a really interesting way to learn how to move the body, and I still understand the importance of spatial awareness, even out in the environment. Yeah.
Let's talk about that spatial awareness because I'm that way. I watch my space, my environment a lot. And I have a personal bubble. And when people get too close to that bubble, my panic attack kind of kicks in. My heart starts to race. I get flush. I get moody. I get, but we really don't talk about that in therapy. Is the boundary, the space, our personal space, right? So, do you work with a lot of clients like that with personal space bubble?
Oh, yeah, indeed. And it's interesting. I usually don't have, if I can help it, anything between me and the person I'm talking with as far as any barriers. Yet I do make sure when it comes to, hugging and things like that, it can be really tricky. And I don't want to do anything like that without, well, first permission, but even before permission, talking up with a person about, is that okay? What's your personal space like? And I can kind of get that with the first and second meetings as far as just sitting with them and walking with them. I never try to walk with people. If I have to walk with them to a room, I try not to have the space for it. I try to walk side by side, but even that can be difficult for people because you're close to them, in a small hallway. So I try not to go behind someone because that can be awkward, especially with people with trauma. And also, I try not to be in front of people because it makes it seem like I'm this know-it-all, captain therapist, that isn't the ultimate expert, which I'm still learning. by the way. So space is definitely important when working with people with trauma, and getting people to learn the importance of feeling into their body is a big part of the trauma work. And even with that, I don't do a lot of touching. I'm not like a massage therapist that would do that. I talk about it from a talk therapy angle.
Yeah, I'm getting some back work done, and they did the acupuncture, and then they were like, I'm gonna rub your back, and I'm like kind of running away from him, and he's like, Liz, I'm just trying to, and I'm just like, I just don't feel comfortable right now. Okay, you put the needles in, the needles are there. The rubbing, we're not gonna do the rubbing.
No rubbish, no rubbing tonight. Ixnay the rubbing. Yes, yeah, and good for you. Like that's a boundary. Like that's a limit for sure.
Yeah. It was just a moment, because the next time I had it and I was like, okay, no, I'm fine. But that day something was off, and I was just running from him. And he was like chasing me and trying to loosen that muscle up. And I was just like, no, are we done now? Like, can I get out
of here? I appreciate your desire, and I appreciate the willingness, but I'm exit stage left, But that's a really good point, Liz. When it comes to intentionality, I could have the best intentions for working with someone, yet bringing it back to EMDR, I have to make sure that someone is ready. Those stabilization exercises from phase 2 are especially important, because if a person is not ready in their body and in their mind and their soul to do that phase like 3 on, then it may not go too well.
Yeah. Well, I think I didn't know that there was 8 phases, because it happened like all at once, right? Like do answer the questions, do this.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going at full force.
Rapid fire.
Trauma is not fun, guys. Like
no, it's not a walk. It's not a cakewalk, is it?
Well, and that's what I really enjoyed about the book is, you said 4 ways to free yourself from the dirt. And that's what kind of trauma feels like. It feels like dirt. Like it feels like you're stuck.
Yeah. This grimy stuckness, stickiness sticks to the soul. Feels hard to let go, because it's something that, even though it's uncomfortable, it's what I've known for such a long time. Mm-hmm.
So what part of the book was the hardest to write for you, Eric?
There was a part at the end of the epilogue where I talk about an often disenfranchised loss for people that I experienced with a miscarriage that my wife and I experienced. I mean, more so her than me vicariously. And that was difficult to write, because it's like I was writing a letter to that baby that never was. And yeah, even in the book, I say this was really hard to write, like actually write that at the end. And that was probably the most personal and the most difficult thing to bring up.
So Eric, do you reach out for help for situations like that?
If I need to talk, yes. Yes.
As a father, I'm a mom who has had a stillborn daughter, and for many years I couldn't speak of it, and I had to find my circle. I had to find people that understood it. As a father, is there resources out there for fathers out there, Eric?
Yeah, and they're not really advertised for men with this disenfranchised. It's a disenfranchised loss, stillborn, miscarriage. It's for men and women. And yeah, there are indeed. If people are seeking, they will find, whether that's support groups. There was a particular website that did have some really good support groups that I can't remember off the top of my head, from working with other people with similar losses. Of course, for me, prayer, devotion, God, the spiritual piece is particularly important. I do attend a prayer group. I actually did it this morning at the really early hour, like 6 a.m. So it's been a day. But so it's finding those different groups, even if it's people that haven't been through the loss being able to talk with those people. And it's unfortunate because I was going to go on a podcast for grief, and I was going to talk about it for the very first time, like on a podcast. And then they unfortunately had to cancel me. Like, it was within 24 hours, and I never really tried doing it again after that. It kind of turned me off to doing it in the podcast form. So,
Well, I think you were ready at that moment, and then when that door closed, it was like, oh, okay, I'm not opening that door again. I was ready. Now I'm not.
it was there, and then it wasn't, and I chose not to follow through again. And I think even writing the portion in the book regarding the letter, we named her Eden. We believe we believe it was a girl. I think my wife actually had a dream where, like, it was a girl in the dream, a baby girl. And yeah, that was cathartic for me. That was therapeutic for me.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Eric. I deeply appreciate you sharing that story with us. And I believe that the babies that don't make it, they're all together, and they have this little pack, and they're all watching over us, and they're all encouraging us. Hey, you got to check out my dad. You got to check out my mom.
Right? I tend to think that too. I like that. I'm going to keep that with me. And they're in a group talking like, hey, check them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That helped with my grief with my daughter Ashley. I was just like, Ashley, who you got up there? Like, who you playing with? Are you guys staying out of trouble? Like, are you watching what? Don't be watching now. Like, it's not a good time to watch now.
Look the other way. Yeah. I actually did work with it as well. Me getting trained in a particular therapy. I won't be able to name which one, but part of the training was us using something that we considered to be pretty. And this was a little bit later. It might have been a little over a year, but anyway, I used a particular portion during the miscarriage for the training I did for this particular therapy, and that was good too. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some of the services that you offer, Eric, with your business. You do bipolar disorder, eating disorder, emotions, existential. Am I saying it right?
Existential.
Yeah. What is that?
Existential, really boiling it down, is all about meaning and purpose and values, and like, where do I find meaning in life? And you can bring the spirituality piece into it. Irvin Yalom is quite prolific when it comes to the existential pieces in psychology, and it's really all about, it's tying what's going on in my life to, yes, how do I find meaning even out of these difficult situations, and what does this mean as far as my existence with what I'm going through, and how that could be even applied to people that's behind me, that's up and coming.
See, I'm always learning from my guests. Like, I was just like, I don't know what that word is, and I don't know what that is, so I'm going to ask.
Now you can't go back.
Darn it. Time travel, go back 2 minutes.
There's this friend. Yeah, go back, right? Like, pull back. Time machine. There's a lady I know, and she's a great lady, and I love her to death. Yet when I talk with her, I know that it's going to be more of me listening than getting a few cents in, and that's just her personality. Yet at the end of every conversation, usually she's like, "Now you know what I know." It's like, "Yep, I do."
Well, another question I have for you is, what is MBTI? What is that?
Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, a personality inventory. Yeah, so you've probably, a lot of people have heard of the 16 different personality types that have kind of I think it's Carl Jung, like a propulsion or an avocation. And so, like, I personally am an INFP. So I'm more introverted. I'm more intuitive rather than sensing. I'm more of a feeler rather than a thinker. And I'm more of a perceiver rather than a judger. And I mean, we can definitely go into that a little bit. There's differences, and mine is not better than yours, and yours is not better than mine. You know, it's, yeah.
So is there a test to tell us what we are?
Yeah, you can take it for free online. What I do is, if someone wants to take the official electronic inventory through the portal, I usually will do like one session to get their self-reported type, where I use flashcards and they tell me which of the pairs that they feel like they are.
Okay.
And then they're able to do the electronic. We bring both of those together, whatever they come out to be. They might be the same, they might be different, but they get to decide at the end which one makes the most sense to them. And it's pretty cool because, I mean, the last few times I've done it, there's been some decent reliability as far as the consistency of what I've come out to be.
So Eric, in your book, Buried Alive, do you have some of these disorders in that story?
Some of the disorders as far as like depression or anxiety,
yeah,
things like that?
Bipolar, stuff like that.
I don't get deep into the mental health disorders in that book. Now, the martial art of recovery, I do get into a chapter that's called Darkness, which is all about depression, Disquiet, which is about anxiety, and then for trauma, it's another D word. Darkness, disquiet. I'm not, well, I mean, that's part of the trauma piece. Yeah, I'm having a hard time remember the D there. But anyway, yeah, trauma and then addiction. So those four are definitely talked about in the first book. Buried Alive, I mean, those 4 different chapters with the self-help pieces can be applied to different mental health concerns like depression and anxiety. So, yeah.
Well, Eric, I want to talk about bath bombs. What's with bath bombs and you?
At first,
I do my homework, guys. You got to go and look yourself to find the bath bombs.
I was like, how does she know? How does Liz know about my bath bombs craze? Yeah, I like taking baths. I love using bath bombs. There's a company called Happy Hippo up here in Canada that I love to use. And last Christmas, the Christmas before, my wife individually wrapped these different canisters of bath bomb, like salts, and she hid them around the house. And it was 8 months later, I was still finding these. And one of them was in my medicine cabinet for like 7 months, like right there in front of my face, and I still didn't see it. And she just got sick and tired of it. She's like, Eric, I have to show you this. Like, and then I saw it, and I was like, that was right there the whole time. So, yeah, I enjoy the sensory experience of a bath. Brings in pretty much, well, other than the taste piece, it brings in all the different ones. Yeah, because music, flickering of candles.
Yeah, I do my homework.
Yeah. You do. You sure do. I'm kind of apprehensive.
My listeners are like, how did you find out about bath bombs?
I'm apprehensive now to know like what else you might know.
You know what I know.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Whenever you find out at 16, just take it with a grain of salt, right? Anyway.
Sweet 16, right?
Sweet 16. Yeah.
Well, Eric, I want to get into your tea, and your tea that you gave me was curious, adventurous, and mindful. Why'd you give me those 3 words for your tea?
I believe we're in a place and time where we get things like thrown at us through social media, and no doubt that's the fabric of our lives now, for some more than others. And like anything, it's a tool that can be used. It's something that can be used in certain ways. And so to be curious, where things aren't just given to me on a feed, and to get out there and being able to explore the world, learn about new people, just like you were curious about me, learn more
I found
about
the bath
me.
bombs.
You found the bath bombs. You're the first person to do so. And oh, by the way, the D for trauma is distress.
Oh.
That's the D. Sorry, just kind of random there. It just popped in my mind. I wanted to say something before I forget. So just being curious about what I feel, about my thoughts, being able to be curious about other people's perspectives, which I feel like in this day and age can be really difficult for us because we're getting all this information and discourse. If someone disagrees with us, we're like, oh, too bad. Well, I learn a lot from people that I disagree with or I don't gel with 100%. So that's a piece on that. As far as adventure, I enjoy going to different places. I enjoy hiking. I enjoy bicycling. I went down to the States a few times this year as far as, rock concerts / hiking in new places. So I lived in New Zealand for 15 months. So lots of adventure there. I just enjoy getting out in the outdoors. And the last one was
Mindful.
mindful. Yeah, so mindfulness kind of goes back to the social media piece, but it can be also, I feel like if I am not actively mindful, I can easily go into what's going to be happening in 3 hours. Even the appointment I have later on after our talk today, like what's that going to look like? And it's just being able, sure, there can be prepping, yet I can also be in the present moment as well. Like I can shift back and forth, and I feel like being mindful of my thoughts, my feelings, what's happening in my body, the sensations is just important to me because of the work that I do. If I'm constantly in the future, and sometimes we're in the future and that's just inevitable. I just don't beat yourself up. If you're in the future, be fully in the future. If you're in the past, be fully in the past for when you get back. Just being mindful, I feel, is important for all of us because we're in a place where we get things so quickly out of convenience. It's right there handed to us. And so I feel like mindfulness is important for mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, social health. I'm listening to you, Liz, right here, right now. I'm not thinking about the bacon I have to cook, in 3 hours or whatever, right? So that's my piece on mindfulness.
Well, we know that you're having bacon in a couple of hours. See, this is how Teatime works. We know about bath bombs, bacon.
Bacon infused bath bombs,
That would be an awesome bath.
Oh,
I'm a
yes.
bacon lover, so yeah, give me a bacon bomb, bath bomb. Like,
Yeah. Serve it up on a platter. Let me drop that puppy in, right? Yeah. Yes.
So Eric, do you use humor to get through trauma?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. And even working with folks, like I work with some, I guess you could call them like heavy hitters when it comes to what they've been through. And usually at the start of a session there's going to be some, like we did, some banter and just talking about stuff. And so yes, in a short answer, yes. And even when I've been through a really rough day, because I have to watch out for even vicarious trauma. Like I've had images stuck in my mind from some sessions, and I have to maybe watch something funny or talk about something humorous, something that's lighthearted. So it's important.
Well, especially working in that field, right? Some clients will come and it might trigger something that you've been through as well, but you have to bring yourself to the present moment and say that this is not my story right now. This is their story.
Yes. Right here, right now, it's for them. And I'm here as a conduit, as a support.
Well, Eric, I asked you your favorite color and you said red. Why red?
Why did I say rojo? I'm learning Spanish, so yeah, it just gives me a chance to say the word. Rojo.
Spanish? Rojo?
Rojo, yeah.
Rojo. Oh,
Yeah,
really?
I guess Rojo. Like, of course, if you say Rojo, they're gonna look at you like, it's yeah, get the J's like an H.
Get yourself in
Anyway,
trouble if you don't know what you're saying.
that's right. That's right. I don't know. I find red to be passionate. I find red to be really. I don't know. It's just a vibrant color that I enjoy. It's hard to describe other than that. Yeah.
Well, I think red is a cool color. I don't get red very often when I ask that question. So I'm just like, ooh, I like
Mm.
different. I like when my guests come different. You know, I get a lot of purples and blues, and I'm just like, okay, give me a deep purple or a different name of a purple. So purple, blue, purple, blue. And then when I got red tonight, I was like, look at that. We got red.
Yeah, yeah. I'm wearing a blue shirt, but yes,
You're wearing
red.
blue, and I was wearing
You
blue
know,
this afternoon because I was the color that she had was blue. Tonight you have red, so I have red on, and I got some little snowman here, little cookie man.
yeah,
What are these little bears, teddy bears?
I like
Little
that.
little
Yeah,
scarves with red in there. You know,
yeah. Oh, yeah. My father-in-law actually got a position up in, I think it was Alaska, because the previous person in the position was killed by a polar bear. And so it's kind of like, hey, we got a position open. Um, Here you go. So, okay.
I got how many bears on here?
Yeah, exactly. But they're the cute ones. They're the cute ones. They're the safe ones,
Those are the teddy bears.
Yeah. Uh,
Well, Eric, we have some lightning bolt questions here that I want to get out to. So just quick answers for these ones.
sure.
One word that defines your healing approach.
Compassionate.
I wonder why you gave me that word. Can you
Are
tell me
you
why
are you
you
oh,
gave?
are you asking? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want to know why you
Uh,
gave me that word.
I
I'm
don't want to. I don't want to ever minimize somebody's experience.
and that's the word that you gave me to describe yourself was compassionate. So I was just like, you gave me compassionate for that answer, and you gave me compassionate for describing yourself. If trauma recovery had a color, what would it be?
Hmm. Hmm. I feel like it would be like a really radiant, like golden yellow.
Ooh, why yellow?
The sun is starting to shine once again.
Bringing light into the dark.
It's like Bruce Cockburn's lyric, I can kick that darkness until it bleeds daylight. Lovers in a Dangerous Time, great song. Yeah, so I think that yes, optimism, healing.
What's the most surprising lesson martial arts has taught you about your life?
There is a supreme importance when it comes to self-control. Because if I do not have self-control, I could injure others. And I did see that happen in martial arts where for some of us there wasn't self-control with practicing and people accidentally got hit. So, yeah.
And what emotion begins the recovery journey?
I would say when it comes to recovery from addiction, actually, when it comes to addiction, I would say it's going to be an interesting one. There could be more than one answer to this, but I would say sadness for addiction, because I'm able to actually grieve and shed tears and just really start to grieve what has happened in my life instead of pushing it all down, trying to escape. For trauma, I would say this could go for addiction trauma, but I would say for trauma, self-love, like feeling self-love, feeling love toward the self. I could say that for addiction too. I'm going to say sadness for addiction and like some form of, love for myself that, I'm loving myself enough to want to get better. I'm loving myself enough to take these chances to get better for me. And we can see that for, yeah.
And what does adventurous healing mean to you in one sentence?
Adventurous healing in one sentence would be, as far as how to define adventurous healing, I would say that is moving into the nooks and crevices in my heart, soul, and mind not previously explored.
So, Eric, if you could do anything adventurous to heal, what would you do right now?
Taking a trip to an area I've never been to and walking amongst the trees, bushes, shrubs on the trail, getting in touch with nature, in touch with God, in touch with myself.
See, and that's really adventurous, because hiking, you never know what you're going to run into. You might run into a polar bear.
I was on a trail up here and I heard a growl. I turned around.
Turned around. You didn't run, did you?
Un poquito, a little bit,
A little speed,
yeah,
right?
a little speed, yep.
They always tell you don't run when you see a bear.
And there I was.
Well, Eric, you did dip into, I had a couple things here. So when you did mention him, I was like, he's got that one on me. Oh, he's got that. I've got like a checklist here. Like I'm checking off. Like he's like, you did mention New Zealand. You lived in New Zealand. What did you love about New Zealand?
The people, the landmarks, the differences in the landscapes is just amazing. And my wife and I really love just being like 40 minutes from the beach. I mean, her and I growing up in a landlocked area, me in Tennessee, her up in Canada, we didn't really, hit the beach too often. So it was just an amazing experience, spiritual experience. So there's 3 types of Kiwis, eh? There's the bird, the people, and also the fruit. And I like all 3. Of course, I don't eat the bird. You can't eat the bird there. They're kind of rare. But, I just enjoyed, it's just a laid back area, just a laid back environment. And I love that too.
Are the beaches warm over there in New Zealand?
Yeah, fairly warm. There's a lot of black sand beaches that are really neat, really different. Yeah, so warm enough water to swim in. Yeah.
Because the beaches in Canada are not warm, guys.
FYI, you might see a polar bear going beside you.
We got a lot of polar bears in Canada. So, Eric, what do you want the readers to get from this book?
As far as Buried Alive, I hope that readers will find some different strategies when it comes to holistic mental wellness. Yet I also hope that they go away from the book feeling inspired that there is an importance when it comes to having other people in our lives. Just like, like I mentioned earlier, if his name's Jerry, if Jerry didn't come with Jason and my dad, his name's Tim, then my dad would have died. A big 400-pound rock or so, it depends on who you ask, 200, 400-pound rock came on top of the dirt after he was buried alive. There's a lot more to the story than just that him being buried. So we need people in our life, and we also need to learn how to have that relationship with ourselves. And that's one thing I hope that people take away, is how to have a better relationship with the person they spend the most time with. So.
And Eric, where can people get this book, and how can they reach out to you?
recoveryartscounseling.com. That's counseling with 2 L's. Since I'm up here in Canada, and you can get the book on amazon.com. Just put in the book title. You can actually get it through another website. I don't have the name of the website, like the actual one on the top of my head, but it's from something called the Hero app. It's an audio version of that book. It's not me doing. I don't have the patience or the caliber or the time. It's a Texan voice doing it, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So they can get it from. If they can reach out to me if they want to figure out, or I can send you the link for that as well.
Awesome. Yeah, do that, and then I'll put that in the show notes.
Sounds good, Liz. Yeah.
So, Eric, any final messages out there for anybody who's listening right now that might be struggling with mental illness or anything like that? What message would you have for them?
As long as you're breathing, there's still hope. As long as you have the curiosity, even if it's just a little bit of curiosity to look at something different for you, there is hope. Heart open, please enter. Hold on, pain ends. Whatever acronym makes sense to you with hope. And that hope takes a certain amount of action. And that's one thing that I hope I can leave with folks. Don't give up on you. You're worth getting the healing that you're looking for.
And Eric, do you have any events or workshops or anything that are coming up?
No events or workshops are coming up. No.
So, Eric, what's your final message for tea time lovers out there with your tea and your bacon and your bombs? What's your final message for everybody out there? Let's just lighten it up a little bit.
Hey, keep on keeping on, and enjoy your bath bombs if you got them, and just don't be afraid to go out of the norm as far as things that you might enjoy, as long as it's legally and ethically, and you're not hurting anybody else. Yeah, like be curious about enjoying things in your life, and that's what I hope for everyone, that they find what's fun, exciting for them. If it's shooting toilets in your backyard with your gun, or if it's, I mean, whatever it is, wherever you're at, igloo or house or wherever you're at, just don't forget the importance of fun and play. Yeah.
I think it's deeply important, right, that we all have some fun and play. And, tonight's book was a little heavy, and I wanted to lighten it up and have some fun. And I knew we were going to have fun as soon as I met you in the back of the studio. I was like, oh, here we go. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to really get it out there and entertain all of you guys tonight. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm just going to do a wrap up of what tonight's tea time was all about, and we will see each other again on Thursday when we'll do this all over again, guys. You know how Miss Liz rolls. What a powerful and grounding conversation, Eric. Thank you for showing us that healing is not about erasing the past. It is about reclaiming the power from it. You reminded us that trauma does not get the final word, and that recovery is not a straight line. It is a journey made of courage and choice. Tonight, we learned that the pain does not define survival, but what we built afterwards does. You taught us that when life attempts to bury us, it does not realize it's planting us. To everyone watching, may you leave tonight with steadier breaths, stronger hopes, and the reminder that you are not broken. You are becoming. Until our next tea time, keep rising from the dirt and walking towards the light. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I'll see you on Thursday, and we'll do this all over again.